Hello, and welcome to FZ Architecture. Today we visit Frank Lloyd Wright's Roux Library at Florida Southern College. We will see how its circular reading room, central librarian, great fireplace, and lantern roof turn a modest college library into a lesson in geometry, light, and collective space. The project is in Lakeland in Central Florida, within the campus of Florida Southern College. The former library stands near the intersection of McDonald and Johnson Avenues, inside Wright's larger campus composition. This is the Roux Library at Florida Southern College in Lakeland, Florida. One of the most unusual and least discussed buildings in Wright's long career. To understand it, we first need to understand the campus around it. Florida Southern College occupies a gently sloping site above Lake Hollingsworth. Construction began in April 1941, and the building was dedicated on the 17th of March, 1945. Those dates matter. The project crossed the years of the Second World War, when shortages of materials and labor placed severe limits on what the college could build. The phrase was not just poetic. Light became one of the principal construction materials of the campus. The buildings were tied together by long esplanades. Patterned concrete blocks created texture and filtered illumination. Roofs projected outward to make deep shade beneath Florida's intense sun. Instead of isolating each building as an object, Wright treated the campus as one continuous architectural landscape. The library became one of its most complex pieces. Look again at the plan. Two very different geometries collide. On one side is a circle, the public reading room. On the other is an irregular angular wing containing the practical machineries of the library. Book stacks, periodicals, offices, stairs, and service spaces. Wright did not hide this collision. He made it the organizing event of the building. The circular room was arranged as a series of stepped study terraces. Readers sat along curved desks that followed the outer wall, almost like an audience surrounding a stage. But there was no stage. At the center sat the librarian. This transformed an ordinary service desk into the visual and organizational anchor of the room. From that position, the librarian could oversee the terraces, while readers remained aware of the shared center. The result was both communal and controlled, individual study organized within a collective field of vision. It is a very Wrightian idea. A single center generates the room, the furniture, the movement, and even the social relationships within the building. The circular form was not entirely new. The plan developed from an earlier, unbuilt project Wright had designed for Aileen Barnsdall, known as the Little Dipper. In that proposal, a bowl-shaped outdoor space and an adjacent classroom established a similar relationship between circular and angular forms. For Florida Southern, Wright transformed that idea into a much larger and more complicated institution. The point where the circle meets the angular wing became the foyer. Here, a massive fireplace acted almost like a hinge between the two worlds. Stairs wrapped behind it, connecting the reading room to the mezzanine and lower levels. The fireplace was not simply decorative. It gave physical and symbolic weight to the transition between public reading and the hidden infrastructure of the library. Books occupied the angular portion behind it. Light wells separated sections of the stacks, helping daylight reach areas deeper inside the plan. The librarian's office occupied one end, while another part opened toward a small chapel on the lower level. Even the most practical functions were pulled into an architectural sequence. But the most ambitious part of the design was above the reader's head. Wright created what the original description called a lantern roof, a series of 7 skylights, 5 aligned with vertical light wells, carrying daylight toward the book stacks on the basement level. Louvers beneath the skylights could be adjusted according to the amount of light desired. High windows around the exterior wall and clerestory openings added reflected illumination to the circular room. This was not a single dramatic shaft of light. It was a system: roof, louvers, wells, clerestories, and pale surfaces working together. In section, the library becomes almost an optical machine. Florida's sun enters from above, is moderated by the roof, redirected around the curved room, and drawn toward books stored below ground. The same tension appears in the materials. Like the other buildings at Florida Southern College, the library used concrete blocks. Some plastered, others patterned to produce texture and shadow. Special blocks turned corners and formed ornamental bands. Small pieces of colored glass were incorporated into parts of the campus construction, allowing concrete walls to sparkle with points of light. Above, the roof was sheathed in copper. Below, dark wood furniture and shelving gave warmth to the pale masonry interior. Wright was trying to make inexpensive, repetitive construction feel specific to this place, and the college community helped build it. During the development of the campus, students participated in construction work, giving Wright's ambitious vision a very practical and sometimes improvised reality. That reality did not always match the perfection of the drawings. The subtropical climate was difficult, experimental details aged, materials changed, and as the college expanded, the library faced a problem no composition could solve. It became too small. By the mid-1960s, Florida Southern needed a larger library, a new building designed by Nils Schweizer, Wright's former on-site representative and a Taliesin apprentice, was constructed across the water dome. When it opened in 1968, the college moved the collection in a way that turned the entire campus into a temporary piece of choreography. Students formed a human chain between the two buildings and passed the books from hand to hand. For a brief moment, Wright's network of plazas and covered walkways became exactly what he had imagined, an architecture activated by collective movement. But the gesture also marked the end of the building's original life as a library. The former E.T. Roux Library was adapted to new uses and became known as the Thad Buckner Building. Over time, substantial interior modifications weakened the clarity of Wright's original reading room. That raises a difficult preservation question. If a building loses the function that generated its plan, what exactly are we trying to preserve? The circular room was shaped by readers, desks, books, librarians, and a precise hierarchy of attention. Remove those elements, and the geometry remains. But part of the architectural meaning disappears. Still, the central idea survives. The exterior curve, the clerestory band, the deep roof, the textured concrete, and the meeting of circular and angular forms continue to reveal Wright's intention. The Roux Library was an experiment in organizing knowledge spatially. Books were not treated as objects placed inside a neutral container. They belonged to a system connecting people, furniture, movement, structure, and light. That is why this forgotten building matters. It shows Wright working at a scale between the house and the monument. Designing not just a form, but a small community of attention. And perhaps that is the real lesson of the building. A library is not defined by the number of books it can hold. It is defined by the relationships it creates between knowledge and the people who come looking for it. If you would like to see another Wright building where one unexpected design decision transforms the entire house, watch our analysis of the Pugh House next. And subscribe to FZ Architecture for more architectural stories explained through plans, photographs, materials, and the ideas that made them possible. And subscribe to FZ Architecture for more buildings examined through plans, materials, construction, and the critical perspective of architectural practice.